Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, today's going to be a really busy day for us. So this might be the only one we get up today. Just wanted to touch base with you guys. And this one really could be on any channel because it's going to incorporate a lot of different things. Hanuman is a fascinating individual being. And again, we'll look to all the legends of Hanuman and really wonder, many people will wonder, was he real? Is he real? What was he? You know, in China, there are legends of the Monkey King, and we, in India and in the Hindu world, and also Southeast Asia, Hanuman's very, very well known. As you see this depiction of him opening up his chest and who's inside, it's basically representations of the divine masculine and divine feminine. You know, the creators of everything that we witness and experience in this universe, or maybe perhaps multiverse, you know, again. So his love is for the natural order of things. You know, again, when we look to Hanuman, we see the example of a being that is, I guess, you know, one of the words that would come to mind is righteous. You know, a lot of people will use righteous in a biblical term, but boy, he is righteous in the truest sense. He will always uphold the natural order of things. And whether it's a depiction of Rama and Sita in his heart, or we're talking Vishnu Lakshmi, or we're talking Shiva Shakti, divine masculine, divine feminine, ultimately consciousness and the material manifestation for that consciousness to go and explore. We are talking about a being that is steadfast, is loyal, is determined, is very strong and very intelligent.
You know, morally, one of the more stabilizing figures I feel in the mythology, someone you can always count on, someone who has your back. You know, the friend of all friends you could ever ask for is found in Hanuman, and a protector, always doing the right thing in accordance to, like Mike said, divine law. Very, very, very important aspect to find an understanding, because if you're searching out there and you just don't know which direction to go, I think Hanuman is a great one to call into the energy field to give you, you know, where's your moral compass? Give me that moral guidance. Which way do I go? You know, we look around and the whole control matrix is falling apart, and everything that we thought we knew isn't true anymore. So you start to wonder, okay, well, what is true? What is right? And we all have to find that inside of ourselves individually, but it's okay to look outside of yourself for those answers as well.
Absolutely. And so something to understand is exactly what we are conceptualizing and what we are actually doing. So Hanuman is a being. He's also an energy at the same time, as we all are. So in some ways you could look at him as a divine archetype of strength, righteousness, always doing the right thing, sticking to the moral high ground, constantly facing any sort of odds with utter complete determination, steadfastness, no fear, you know, complete resolve and determination. These are all things we can use to talk about the characteristics of the being. Isn't it fascinating that he's depicted as like a monkey man per se? That's how most of us in the West would, you know, go ahead and describe him. Well, he looks like a monkey man. Some might even say, well, I wonder if he's based on a Bigfoot type creature. But then again, what was Bigfoot? What is Bigfoot? You know, again, everything that we have has been so distorted, twisted. The control structure doesn't want you to understand the bigger picture. This is the infamous Patterson film, which was stabilized and you know, gives us a representation of a Bigfoot type creature. There's another depiction, just to give you a somewhat typical representation of another Bigfoot-like creature. There's been so many photographs, so many videos done over the years. Footprints, we've had multiple encounters. We're in many states, honestly. I mean, we've encountered bare footprints in the Nevada desert close to Area 15, which, again, with hard rock substrate, it would have to be tremendously heavy. I've also had something wrap on the cabin I was in North Carolina 3 different times, leave a big stick, a branch that came off a tree, really, up against the house just to say, this is what I used to whack on the house and wake you up in the middle of the night. And did see a footprint there. We know these beings do exist. And in fact, this right here is not somebody representing a Bigfoot. It's representing something that we know existed, called Gigantopithecus. We have teeth and fragments and fossils of this. So this is a fact. This is not a concept. It's a fact. This existed. We know this existed. In typical wiki fashion here, it's an extinct genus of ape, roughly 2 million to 350,000 years ago. And there are many different subspecies within this greater species. But then we look over to Britannica and says, well, it went out of existence 11,700 years ago. Wow. Okay. Well, that's exactly when the Younger Dryas happened, isn't it? Isn't that a coincidence? 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago. Do you think any possibly could have survived? Do you think any exist on what we would call 4D? And, the answer that we have received is a definitive yes, absolutely. And again, where do these beings come from? Many of them are extremely intelligent, way more intelligent than the average human on this planet. And in many cases, they might have been here longer than Homo sapiens, but they're not from here. This is, again, the big reveal. So many species have come to Earth from other places and inhabited Earth and at times got along just wonderfully with many different species. It's really in the Dark Age that all that is covered up. So when we're connecting to Hanuman, and by the way, as you could see, this is a big thing over in India, Southeast Asia. They're always actually finding more and more footprints and stone fossil footprints that they'll say is Hanuman's footprints, and some will set up little areas of devotion, and really what we have is an extraterrestrial being that's very advanced and really is a benevolent being. So again, these are beings that come to us in more of the golden age, and they're around in the silver age to a degree. And then as the cycle of the yugas happens and the frequency lowers, we can no longer necessarily directly see them visibly. Doesn't mean we won't again, absolutely, but we can't connect to them. And as Cindy has given us, the mode of communication that's done throughout the cosmos is telepathic. So there's really no need for verbal languages per se with most of the beings out there. You can directly communicate with most beings. So language is not really a barrier that it's made out to be. The Van Allen belts are not really a barrier. Again, there's really no barrier. They want you imagining there's barriers, because they don't want you to understand that we've never been alone, that there are still beings coming and going to this very day. All different types of humanoid beings, as we see this depiction of the Ramayana. And in the Ramayana, we are introduced to Hanuman over there on the left, who has many abilities, but actually his abilities are those of a advanced master yogi. And when we look to the cities, the superpowers that a yogi can exhibit, these are the things that he can do. He is extremely advanced. And that is Rama right there in the middle. And again, we depict these stories in the way that we imagined that they happened, and in the way that we imagined that they look. That might not be exactly, the weaponry being used, as Cindy's smiling wryly. One thing I wanted to point out is the blue beings. Now, the blue beings were the first humanoid beings to come and settle on Earth. And in fact, when we look at Mu and Lemuria, they are blue humanoid beings. And again, we're talking 5th density golden age here. As you see a depiction of Rama going to shoot an arrow at what we would call a Rakshasa, which is a type of Asura, which is equated with a demonic type of being, truly in service to self. And I had this aha moment so long ago where I was understanding that the Asuras are those we would take to be the Anunnaki, sort of. Again, we have different labels depending on what part of the planet you're talking about. But these are those in the current power structure. These beings that just simply come down, take what they want, and just, set themselves up as the power structure. This is your royalty. They're demonic. Yeah, absolutely. And demonic, ultimately, we're talking about service to self, beings that don't care about others. Whereas the beings that came from the stars in the Golden Age, they taught us the mysteries and the secrets. They taught us how the universe works, how we are all co-creators. Source, God, is within all of us. They gave us all this knowledge. Whereas, what do we get from the demonic ones? Serve me. We created you to serve me. That your purpose is to serve me. You are nothing but a slave. You will bow down before us. It's, again, if you catch the energy, it's so easy to see. The modern day interpretation of that is Avatar. Absolutely. Again, blue beings, taller. Remember? I mean, you guys have seen the old Avatar. We haven't seen the new one yet. But just sharing, again, tall blue beings in harmony with nature. And then what do you have coming? A corporate type structure. Well, yeah, again, that demonic structure is corporate. It is. It's AI driven. It's artificial in every way, shape, and form. It's out of connection to the natural order, natural world. And these beings are also, as you see, they have kind of a feline tendency. The original humans, as far as we know, are Lyrans. And so, again, we do have a lot of different star family. And so, we have what we would call Pleiadians, which, again, Pleiades was inhabited as a result of the Lyran Wars. And there's many different benevolent beings at play. There are very benevolent beings that have come from Sirius and from Arcturus. The Arcturians are very high vibe, amazing beings, very benevolent. And again, supporting the natural order. This is the big reveal. When we're looking at these legends, these are really tales of the gods and goddesses, which are nothing other than extraterrestrial beings, interdimensional beings. This is a depiction of Ravenna taking Sita, and then he kidnaps Sita because, again, here's your little biblical verse. Giants were amongst us, and Nephilim, all that. And again, that that tells you so little and distorts things. You got to go and look all around the world, and then you understand the reason why beings could breed with other beings is because the DNA was very similar. And in fact, again, we come from elsewhere. And those that we call the Anunnaki are none other than what Cindy calls fallen Pleiadians. They are those that are, conquered by the AI system. They've given in to the Borg. They've been assimilated.
These books are so good to understand duality, the nature of duality. We all come down here with a base idea of what type of storyline we're going to play out for the most soul growth. So everything definitely has its place in this world. And right now it's just so exciting because so many people are waking up to who they are, the possibilities, where am I from galactically? I want to know my lineage. Who am I energetically? What kind of line do I come from? And that absolutely plays such an important role in awakening, because part of awakening is really truly knowing yourself through and through, inside and out, remembering who you are, because then you have a better idea what you're capable of. And the structure that's in place now, they spend an enormous amount of time and energy to cover that up, and just kind of making us feel alone and solitude and like there never was anything. And then the stories that are out there are just made up stories, but a lot of these stories are so important for humans and our evolution, and there's so much to glean from them. They have in these stories, in these books, information that can turn on your DNA. It literally turns on your DNA. And also what's really curious, and we'll have to do a video about it, is the emerald tablets. They're another one that actually turns on the DNA and helps you evolve, but they love keeping this away from us.
We've done like 3 or 4 videos on it, just so you know. And so that's the big debate for me a lot of times, is like, I know people don't go searching for them. Do we redo the whole thing, or do we re-upload what we've already shared 3 or 4 different times? Because again, we've literally made probably, I would say, at least 4,000 to 5,000 videos minimum. It might be very much more, actually. But of course, YouTube's always getting rid of them as time goes on, and certain ones that cover too much too clearly. Because again, it's part of the control system. It is controlled by this group that you might call demonic, or you might call asuras. And then there's subspecies. So, he is known as a Rakshasa. He is Ravenna. He was a demon king, an asura king. And again, really what we're talking about is just simply extraterrestrials. This has always been the case. So when we look at the traditional representation of Sita being kidnapped by Ravenna because, hey, she's beautiful and she's sweet and she's nice and he wants her. It's just that simple. He takes her away in his chariot. This is your traditional depiction. This is a modern kid's depiction. Okay, we're starting to get a little somewhere. What did the ship really look like there? It looks a little bit like a flying dragon or something, but in reality, it might look more like that. This is the reality that we have to understand. We might even have seen the ship in our own lives. Again, I think there's some people like Jacques Vallée who have done a lot of work and said, you know what? I think this is modern ufology is a retelling of all these myths and all these legends. It's always been the same thing, and it's not like it's different, and that was one of the big aha moments for a lot of people. So, humanity came together, different beings came together. If you could look at this depiction, you'll see many ape-like beings. At one time, we interacted with beings like Bigfoot just out in the open because humans were better overall. We were higher vibe, obviously, and here you see there's Rama right there. And we were more in tune with nature, more in tune with the natural order. We see this reflected in the world of Tolkien too. If you're familiar and read the books, the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, and all those, it's all a fall of man. It's man's fall, and that fall is the cycle of the yugas, and it also leads us to be controlled by these demonic forces. And these demonic forces, again, some of these beings are indigenous to the planet, or at least have been here for a long time. Again, the planet itself was recreated not really that long ago. Now, it's fascinating that there is a lot of evidence for this story, and you're looking right here. This is Ram Setu, and this is known as Rama's Bridge. In modern times, it was renamed Adam's Bridge. What does Adam have to do with it? Well, of course, the biblical tradition is the controller tradition. So this is what's left of the bridge that was built by the Bigfoot type creatures under Hanuman, along with humans working side by side to build a big enough bridge to get from the mainland over here in India to Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka was called Lanka. And this was an outpost of the Asura kingdom. Again, when we look to not too far away here, this is the area of Sumeria, Babylon, Akkadian, modern day Iraq. And again, so many of the wars that have gone on are all just about wiping out any trace of evidence of non-terrestrial interference. And you will find Hanuman's footprints not only in India, through the area here, Myanmar, Burma, down into Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. You'll find evidence all over of Hanuman, but in reality, we're just talking about a different type of species, of being. So, yeah, absolutely. It's fascinating because they actually used spells. It's even told that. They wrote spells on rocks. Now, there's volcanic rocks that make up this bridge. Volcanic rocks can float. Now, they say that they put spells on the rocks so the rocks would float. And then the whole army crossed. And not that they really needed it, because according to the story, it was like Hanuman by himself pretty much devastates the entirety of the army, of the demonic forces. Again, why don't we see these beings? It's because we're too low. We could raise our frequency up. And this is what we do through our mantras. The mantras raise our frequency up. We're able to dial into these beings and connect to these beings. Now, even if you're not able to hear these beings directly, when you do the mantras, you will connect to them. And they will bless you, because these are beings that, again, are in accordance with the creator of this universe. They love and honor the divine feminine, the mother aspect, the goddess aspect. Even if they might look a little bit different, maybe even a little intimidating at times, again, it's what's in the heart. And as we said, what's in Hanuman's heart is Rama and Sita, is Lakshmi and Vishnu, is Shiva and Shakti. As you see another depiction of Hanuman. Look at how big that statue is as a train going by. It makes you feel like you're watching a Godzilla movie in some ways, right? These battles of the giants, there is a reason why they resonate with us, because we saw this. This is still in our DNA. This is in the bigger mind, not the brain, the mind. We remember this. We remember this. There's a simple mantra you can use, and it is Om SHREE Hanumate NAMAHA. Om, again, the sound of creation and of the universe. SHREE is the goddess energy. Hanumate NAMAHA. And again, it's fascinating because when we look to Rama is thought to be the perfect man, exactly how a perfect man is supposed to behave and act in so many ways. And yet he is still fallible, because as soon as any of us come into a body and lower down into the densities, we can make errors, we can make mistakes in judgment, and it's just part of the learning curve here in these very, very dense, heavy existences that we have. Yet it's upholding that ideal. So Rama is thought to be an incarnation of Vishnu, and Hanuman is taken in some circles to be an incarnation of Shiva. And then in some ways, Shiva is the consciousness before the creation. And of course, the creation is painted on the canvas of the mother, the goddess energy.
Mm-hmm. When we come down into these bodies, we become susceptible to the weaknesses of the flesh. And there you have your 7 deadly sins. So there is no one that is safe. There is no one that is absolutely perfect. There is many lessons to be learned when we come down and get a body. We receive a body, and all through our life is going to be one lesson after the next. And again, we keep this in our energy field. It remains in the Akashic records. So many of you guys that are listening, you are ancient beings. You have so much information and life after life in your energy field. And you have a lot of information you can tap into. And when you pick up a spiritual practice, you are able to tap into this information much quicker, and you become very advanced in understanding and seeing and reading energy. So it's definitely a place where we're all headed to, more people than ever. I see more and more lights being turned on, and people understanding who they are, where they're from, what they're made out of, and what their possibilities are.
And Hanuman is not far. He's not far. There are still these legends out there that Hanuman and Babaji have stayed behind to help us, help humanity.
Definitely beings who are here in the 3D and 4D, many ways that they can help. I don't think we would understand them if we saw them with our two eyes, so that's not where they remain most of the time. But these beings have such a capacity for radiating their energy. They can put their energy out, and they know how to read energy. And this is where, the Bigfoots can come in. They do a lot with their energy very naturally. So you might be in the forest, and if you feel really, really afraid, it could be a Bigfoot saying, hey, you're in my area and I don't like that. So they've mastered their energies.
And again, root and ground yourself with the mother, and hold the love of the mother in your heart, and they'll recognize that. They'll see that in your light. As we've called on Hanuman and in the past, and Hanuman has guided us through New Mexico, and actually even at times sent us protection in Nevada and New Mexico when we needed it. So he will protect you as well, so you can focus on Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. And, again, he has many beings that are of his type that work with him. So we're not alone in this. And, the dark forces want you to think that they are overpowering. There's no point in resistance. The reality is, their forces are way outgunned. We're just way deep behind enemy lines, but this is a direct connect to strong and powerful friends.
And if you're able to turn your light on, understand that you can push back so much darkness. It's absolutely insane. And that's what the controllers are afraid of, is that we'll learn how to flip on that light switch.
As always, guys, much love, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.